Hey YouTube, this is Brian of Unbound the Spirits Awakened series channel, or Unbound series channel, as you guys can see. This channel is dedicated to my book, but you're probably wondering, why are we staring at Celine from Underworld Blood Wars? Well, today I'm going to give you a little movie review because yesterday I went and saw it and it was awesome. So I had to share. Um, Vampires and werewolves are a big, how should I say this, attraction for me. I love stories about these creatures, and the different iterations are fascinating. So let's just get right into the review, and we'll talk about that stuff later. Okay, Underworld Blood Wars was one, just awesome. I love the story and all the twists and turns they bring you for. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of the Underworld series, but if you see any other Underworld movie, you should see this one. This one is definitely one of the better ones. Uh, One thing that I can say is, because I don't want to ruin the story for you, is the way the werewolves fight in this movie is amazing. They're very militaristic, less guerrilla style fighters. They don't really run and hide like you know. They usually what is the saying? Uh, Something, fight and run away, live to fight another day, something along like that. Anyway, that was the style of fighting back then for guerrilla fighters, and that's how our werewolves started in the entire series. They they had grew in numbers from slaves, and then that's their chronological thing. They were slaves back in the day. Um, if you haven't seen the other Underworld movies, I'm not giving you a spoiler alert at this point. If you're interested, you should have already watched it. So werewolves were slaves. Then they were basically hunted to oblivion. And now how do I say it? They've shifted. Vampires are now the oppressed people per se, and the werewolves are the oppressors. They've kind of come full circle, and this movie really plays on that. And I have my own theories for the next one if they get to make another one, because they left it open for one. But if they don't, this is a great one to end it on. Um, we it wraps up at pretty much a lot of questions we have for this universe. Marius, our villain here, this guy down here, I'll click on him here. Uh, what an impressive villain he really is. He brings the werewolves. He's their leader, and what the hell of a leader. He's intimidating. He's impressive. I don't know how else to describe the guy. He's battle scarred. He's got this really ugly scar that goes down his body. They don't really ever tell us how he got that. I mean, I'm sure they could make assumptions, and he's very just like when you see him in his wolf form, he's huge. Like he's a lot bigger than the and stronger than the other werewolves. And I don't want to give too much away, but like in the trailer, you get to see him like reveal his human face, and he does things it's like the other werewolves just flat out can't do. So him versus Celine is just impressive. Or him versus this character, I can't remember it. Theo, is that his name? Oh, that's might be the actor's name. I'm not sure. Hold on. Yeah, that's the actor's name. These are their posters. Okay, so I can't remember the character's name that Theo James here is playing, uh, but I've heard him be described as Vampire Lancelot, which I find kind of funny. It's a little bit humorous. Um, there's a scene where him and Marius here are fighting, and it's rather interesting because Oh wait, I mean, I don't want to give that away. Um, well, you already know, oh, and I guess I can kind of give it away. I won't really give it away. From the trailer, we can definitely surmise that Marius is different from other werewolves. Seems smarter in his wolf form, and obviously he maintains his human face, which we see in the trailer. And then, as we can surmise from the last movie, he's closer to the type of vampire that Celine is, in like sunlight doesn't hurt him because he's had her blood in him, which we already know that from the last movie that her blood makes vampires more powerful. So we have uh, basically Vampire Lancelot versus Marius, and it's just these two like mega monsters. I want to say, like Celine is the ultimate badass. She can't be beat, but these two characters are powerful in their own right. Like these guys fighting is it's probably been very interesting to see them do battle, but ultimately the movie is about Celine, and she's the one that we're following. So she's the one that's gonna have to do fight the bad guy and yeah, and beat him. Now I can't tell you like how she does it or any details like that. That's stuff I can't give you, but it's a great movie. I recommend it 100%. I think everyone should go see it. And there's a really cool scene, I can't give you this, where our vampire Lancelot like legitimately cuts a werewolf in half. It's not that Marius, it's one of the, no name characters. We don't have his name. He's werewolf number 25 or whatever. Um, he just cuts this thing literally in half. And I'm just like, wow. Because Underworld, I mean, from the beginning, they've never really done anything like that. I mean, they've shown Victor getting half his head cut off by Celine. I mean, we've seen vampires and werewolves getting riddled with bullets, but we've never seen somebody get cut like split down the middle. Like we're not even talking cut in half from the torso. We're talking cut in half right down the middle, starting in the southern region and right up through the skull. And this werewolf just falls apart, and I'm just like, gross. But it was still cool. Yeah, oh, wait, it's white. uh, oh, here we go. This is perfect. So we have our Sir Lancelot the vampire here, basically, who, with his new sword, just cuts this werewolf in half, and it's still the most impressive scene to me. Uh, I do have a prediction for the next movie. My prediction is that we won't have vampires fighting werewolves. What we're gonna have is the two probably at some point teaming up to fight something that's even more dangerous, which I think would be the best way to end the series is have the vampires and werewolves reconcile, because at this point they've both been the bad guy now, and it's time to stop fighting each other and find a bigger enemy or find some mutual ground. Either way, I mean, we kind of see some of that towards the end. uh or the character Theo James is playing has a chance to wipe out like all the werewolves that were attacking his base, and instead he lets them go. And my theory behind that is he's taking after Celine, and him and Celine have kind of both had enough war with the werewolves. So Theo, for example, is just his character is like, I've had enough, leave. So he lets them leave, and that's all I'm going to tell you. That's all for our movie review. I recommend seeing it. Everything's good. The acting, the action, the story, um, even like just the background to the whole movie is awesome. The way they fight each other is impressive. It's very well choreographed. I recommend it. I really do. And also, if you are an Underworld fan already and you haven't had your fill of vampires and werewolves, I recommend you pick up my book, Unbound: The Spirits Awaken. Uh, one of our characters in the heroic lineup is a vampire, so there's that. And she's a very high-ranking vampire. We also meet a few werewolves in the story. So if you haven't had your fill of vampires and werewolves, I recommend my book, Unbound: The Spirits Awaken. It's a good story. You'll get a little more than just vampires and werewolves, and helps me out, and it keeps my channel going. So check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And this is Brian of the Unbound Series channel.